what I'm gonna do to you. Don't you ever do that shit again, you hear me?
Welcome back to another episode on the Mudco, where today we will be breaking down the price of rebuilding the DR here to see if it is actually cheaper to buy a blown up dirt bike and rebuild it than to buy a brand new, or not brand new, but a used bike that runs. So right off the bat, I'll say this is all circumstantial, I guess. Depending on how much you pick up a bike for, different parts, what year it is. This was a 90, parts were fairly easy to find. But if you pick up something really old for really cheap, parts might be harder to find and more expensive. Pick up something new for really cheap, parts might be harder to find, or parts will be easy to find, but could also be more expensive. As well as I bought basically everything. I bought a lot of used parts on this bike, whereas you could do a rebuild and buy all new parts on a newer bike. You can actually get most of the parts for this thing new too. I just chose not to. So without further ado, let's get into the parts, or the price breakdown for this bike. So here we have, I've got a list here because I can't remember everything. So I picked up the bike for $250. They were asking either $350 or $400 for it when I picked it up. I talked them down to the $250. So I paid $1 per cc for this bike. Actually a little more because it's like $249. But in tearing the bike down, we discovered it needed a new head, which was one of the more expensive parts on this bike. That was $235 for a used head that had all the valves and everything in it, because the old one was so marred up it wouldn't seal. The valve cover, that cost me $100. That has the rockers and everything in it though. It's a weird kind of piece. And I got that with all the rockers too. So that cost me $100. I did not put rings in it. Those would have been $10, but they would have taken forever to ship because in the middle of the pandemic, everything was slowed down. I bought a full gasket kit for it. That was $49, so $50 for a gasket kit for the bike. I needed a new throttle, not the throttle tube, but the metal piece that the two cables come through. That cost me, what did that cost? That was $10. Grips, you need new grips. Those were $20. Those were a new part. I didn't buy used grips for that. There was a oil line that needed to be replaced. I didn't actually replace it. I cut it in half and put a piece of rubber in because I think it's just a vent. It hasn't leaked, so we're all good. We got an air filter. That was $19. As you can see by the stickers on the bike, that's a Uni, something like that. I have that in our snowmobile as well, and I think on the three-wheelers. Got a kill switch for it. That was $7. I would not recommend the kill switch. I bought it on Amazon. I can leave a link to it below. I wouldn't recommend it. It died on me. It doesn't work at all. So you might ask how I shut the bike off, and I'll show you that in a minute, I guess. We got a clutch cable for it. That was $14. The old one was fraying. A tensioner that goes in. It's in the head. The new head didn't come with one. The old one didn't. The old one, it was on it, didn't have it. That was $24. No, $21. The guide, which is the plastic piece the timing chain runs on inside the timing chain guide, that costs $24. So this is where it gets interesting. The first set of cases I bought, that was $61. Those were for a 350. They were also the wrong model. The guy told me they were for 250. They told me they were for my model. That broke when I tried installing one of the bearings into it because it wasn't quite right. So that was $60 down the drain. On this bike, I might be able to resell half of that case and make some money back. There was an oil pump gear that got shredded from all the damage in this engine originally. That cost me $4 for the original one that I ordered, which turned out to be the wrong gear again. So I wasn't able to return that. So I'll try selling that. There was a shift shaft that runs through the case that actuates the gears. That I need a new one of. That was broken. $25 there. Timing chain was $15. I had an oil filter and spark plug kit that I bought on eBay. That was $11 for the oil filter and spark plug. I got a blue drive chain for it because the old one was like falling apart. That was $21. As well as there was a bearing I got on eBay for $5, which was the right one for the 350 case, but not for this. And that bearing actually turned out to be one of the only parts I found for this bike that Suzuki has discontinued. They don't make that anymore. It's in the transmission end of the engine. So I was able to find a place, I believe in West Virginia, that had it, and they shipped it up to me for, I believe, around $20. And that is where my parts list stops. So that was $691. So that's $700 in parts to get this bike running. Plus the $250 for the bike. So that puts me right around 1,000. What does that actually work to? So $700, $950 there for that whole bike. The problem was the case that was wrong. I got another set of cases. I think they were around $50. I got, because I found it cheap, the jug was marred a bit on the old one, and I found a new one for, I think, around $50 again. So I picked those up. That's another $100. And just with all the problems with cases and stuff, actually I think the cases were more like $100, because I'm now into this bike for about 1,000 in parts. So that, in other parts, I added about 300 because of the broken cases and stuff, which puts me in at $1,250 for this entire dirt bike here that runs, drives, could be street legal. I have to dump a bit more into it to be street legal, obviously. So I do believe that even though it's more than I was expecting because there are more problems in the engine, I was expecting to put a new head on it, it would be good. I tore it down, the case was shattered. You guys saw that a whole in the rebuild video. So my original was like $500 all in because I thought it just needed a head. Got into it more, found more problems. So now we're in, let's just call it 1,200. It's a little more than that. For this entire bike, I don't believe in my area I found like any 250 4-strokes, especially. This is a 4-stroke. I didn't want a 2-stroke for cheap. I know other places, stuff like that, you can find cheaper running, but this also gives me the state of mind. That's the word I'm looking for. The peace of mind. There we go. Peace of mind that this bike is gonna run for quite a long time, fresh off that rebuild. I'm gonna put an hour meter on it so I can keep track of the time that's on it, but yeah, I mean, I think $1,200 for a fully functional 250 is a good deal. I think right now we're going to cut, because I'm out here in the woods. There's no service here. I got no service. I don't actually have service on my iPad. I could do it on my phone, but you're my phone. So I think we're going to cut here. We're going to go to the house. We're going to hop on Marketplace, Craigslist, things like that, and search around for 250s and see what I could have picked up a running 250 around here for. So yeah, that is the parts breakdown and trying to decide if rebuilding a blown up dirt bike is worth it. So far, I think it was.
Alright guys, so here we are on Marketplace to see what about a 250 dirt bike would run for to compare it to the price of the rebuilt DR. So right off the bat, looks like it's definitely cheaper. We'll get into some of these and actually look at them. Let's start up right here. $3,500 for a 09 YZ. Supposed to be a two-stroke, or this is a two-stroke bike. So I'm just gonna ignore it because I'm not looking for two strokes. Here we go. CRF 2008. This is a 4-stroke. We've got, here we go, 254 stroke, really fast, no issues. How come everything's really fast? So yeah, running 250, 27. Here's a, what is this, an 07 CRF, 4-stroke again. I believe CRF, the F is 4, so yes, 4-stroke. Fully rebuilt. So this is a rebuilt bike for 2,000. So I'm still under that by about 700. Here we've got KLX 2400, 3000 for an RMZ. RMZs are, nope, that is a 4-stroke. The RMZs are 2-stroke. Here's an old KX 250 for this is this one here, right around what I paid. This is a 2-stroke. This actually wouldn't be, doesn't look like it would be a half bad bike. KX250, Hudson, New Hampshire. So looking, see what's out there for trade. Though it's trade. Never mind. So yeah, 4,000. It really doesn't look like you can, in my area at least, pick up a running bike for under $2,000. It looks like they tend to run more 25 to 3,000 up. So yeah, that conclude this, I guess, with I think it is definitely worth it in my case to have bought this bike and rebuilt it. I think in most cases it will be, unless you find a really good deal on a good running bike or one that needs minimal work, or you end up buying a bike that maybe you buy like a 2017 or something. Or what is the year 2020? Buy a brand new bike, 2021 bike, blown up or whatever, for really cheap. Parts for that, you're not going to have much support from the used eBay market, and probably not a ton for cheap aftermarket parts either. So yeah, I would say, depending on how you spin it, it is most likely going to be worth it to, if you don't have the money, have some money, but not all the money, to buy and rebuild a bike.